Hey everybody, welcome to Ron's Computer Videos and what honestly feels like month 900 of my video production timeline. So what we've got here is my my good pal SE30. Um, I originally picked this up a couple of years ago. There was a photographer in St. Louis that had a bunch of these. He had like a 128, a 512K, and this SE30 that he was using as sort of props for photography. And so there was one that was painted this green, there's one that's painted blue, and there was one that was painted sort of a pinky kind of color. And I gave away the the 512 and the 128 to Kansas Fest a couple of years ago because I thought, that would be kind of maybe some good, goodwill, a good gesture or something like that to maybe kind of rehome those because I didn't really have keyboards and at the time I really didn't have like any kind of way to like get those set up. So I went ahead and held on to the SE30, and you guys probably saw the video where I sent the motherboard off to Joe, Joe from Joe's Computer Museum, where he could try to repair because he'd been looking for an SE30 motherboard for a good long time too. And I just thought, hey, here's some opportunity to do some community goodwill and all that. But I kept the case, and it's got the monitor and stuff, and I put a regular SE board in it, SE FDHD, and that's okay. But I'd really like to maybe see if I can restore the case to its original color. I posted on Twitter sort of looking for a replacement front panel because I can always strip the back panel. Nobody's looking behind there, so you really don't need to see the label on that. But it would be kind of nice to restore the front of this, and what would be even better is if the method that I use was able to restore the Apple logo and would be gentle enough that it would not remove the silk-screened Macintosh SE30 information on the front, which is now covered with green spray paint. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is, or actually some more background. What I went ahead and did is I reached out to the Twitter community and I just said, hey, has anybody got one for sale? And I got a lot of feedback. The people were like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I like the color. I even had someone say, hey, I'd really like to trade you my SE30 that I just recently retrobrighted for this, but it's international shipping, and that's probably kind of a pipe dream. So here's what I'm going to do instead. I'm going to use some advice. Originally, I was kind of like, well, couldn't I use brake cleaner or something like that to clean this off? Because I know that you can use that to remove spray paint from other things. And the feedback that I got is probably the correct information, which is that it might be a little bit too harsh for these plastics. And you do have to use it in a well-ventilated environment, and there's a lot of safety concerns and things like that. Stuff that I don't necessarily am set up for at the moment. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is let me show you what I bought, and then we'll talk about what we're going to try out. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to try to attempt to do a little bit of a restoration just on a sample piece of the rear of the case. And then if it works out, maybe in a future video, I'll come back and finish up. Okay, so here's what I ended up purchasing. A couple of people recommended this product that's called Citra Strip. And what Citra Strip does is it's basically a paint and varnish remover. You can use this for woodwork, where if you're going to refinish a table or something like that, the instructions are really, really basic. It just says, protect your hands. You want to use some sort of chemical resistant gloves. You want to make sure that you use eye protection. You shape the product well, pour it into a container, and apply it with a paintbrush. And it says that after 30 minutes, you can test an area on your device or whatever it is you're trying to clean, just to see how well it's doing. You can leave it on for maybe up to 24 hours. If you leave it on for 24 hours, you probably want to cover it with some sort of plastic or something to stop it from drying out. And after that, basically, you can just use like a gentle sort of agitation to remove the old paint and see what happens. So they do recommend for paint and things like that you can use mineral spirits and stuff to kind of loosen up anything that got residually stuck on there, but I'll probably just reapply. Again, this is just like a super simple test to see how well this would work. where if anybody else is in a similar situation, that they can give it a try. I picked up just a super basic, I went to Menards. So I picked up just a super basic value paintbrush, something that I would not mind. It's 100% polyester, so this is just a cheap brush. If something happens to it, I can throw it away and not feel too bad. Per the instructions, I also picked up some latex, sorry, these are vinyl gloves. They're latex free, but supposedly they are good for a bunch of different things. They're tough. They're not the toughest sort of quality, but I would say probably if I was using some sort of like actual, like an alcohol or something like that, that would break down this nitrile, that maybe that might be, or the vinyl, that'd probably be a little bit more important. But we'll give these a try and see how these go. I think this little tiny bag was pretty cheap. It's like $2 or something. Last but not least, probably the most important part, safety squints. I'm not going to slop this on, so it shouldn't be spraying everywhere, but the instructions do recommend some manner of eye protection. And there are cheaper options out there, but these are just some 3Ms, and if something were to happen to them, I think they were $7, so we're not out a whole lot. And last but not least, and it's kind of hard to get this, whoa, sorry, went way out of frame. This is a big plastic painter's tub that should be way more space than I need to put the rear panel of the SE30 in, so that way that I can apply the citrus strip. We'll give it 30 minutes to just see how it does, and we'll go from there. So let's go ahead and let's get our SE30, let's get it prepped, and then let's apply the citrus strip. Okay, the prep part of the SE30 is done and ready. There are a few kind of nicks and stuff in this paint anyway, where it has brushed up against stuff over the years. I'm sure this is not going to be perfect, but it'll be fun to maybe do a little bit of test on here. So we have our prepped SE30. The next thing that it says to do in the instructions is with the citrus dip, you're supposed to give it a good shake, and then you're supposed to dispense it into a container, and then you use the brush to apply it to an area. You wait 30 minutes and you give it a shot. So, all right. So I think what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and give this a good shake, and then I'm going to put on gloves and squints, and then put it in the container, give it a little try, and we'll do this 30 minutes on fast forward, and we'll see how it looks in half an hour. All right, let's start. That makes a wonderful noise. Join me for more ASMR classics in the future, I guess. A bloob, 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 bloob. Okay, that's probably good and shaken up. All right, so let's prep our paintbrush. Got that. Go ahead and get some gloves. All right, 1 and 2. I've only got the 2 hands currently. Open our squints. These are not very fancy, but they are adult sized, and hopefully Project Farm did a really good video about these, and I think that these were like the kind of the bargain basement of things, but did protect you, I guess, if you purposely try to shoot yourself in the eye with a pellet gun. Okay, squints engaged. So let me go ahead. I'm going to get some gloves on here. And, yep. I have, not bragging, but I do have a problem with a lot of these gloves where they're not in my size. And it makes DIY kind of difficult. So I do, oh, see, I already broke one because I don't know my own strength. Alright, so there we go. Oh yeah, that's a brilliant sound. Alright, so got those on. Let's go ahead, let's get the product open. Alright, I don't think we're going to need a ton for starters here. Just want to see how this goes. That, if you can see there, that's not a ton of stuff, but I just don't want to overdo it here. Because again, this is just a test. I'm going to see how this goes. Okay, we have this firmly sealed back up. And we have our Giganto brush. We're going to get this in here. And I've watched enough of those old toy restore videos to know that this stuff can work some wonders if you if it's used in the right way. So, all right, I think the right way is you just get it on there. Now, you don't, you go thick, and you just wait and see what happens here. So, I'm going to paint up this whole side. They say that you really have to have like some good ventilation for some of these other products out there. But we're going to go ahead, and that's why I thought I would try this, because if you can do it indoors, that's probably better this time of year for me, because I can kind of monitor the project a little better. So, okay, so we have application. Let's get the rest of this kind of out of here onto the brush. And we're going to, all right, let's go ahead. I'm going to put my brush in here, set this aside, and let's go ahead and let's get our 30-minute timer going. Oh, darn. I guess you got to do it correctly. Is that in the shot still? Is it in the shot down here? Oh, wow, that looks really good down there if I can get it to balance. Lord, should have thought this out a little better. All right. Yeah, I think you can read it. If you can't, it's okay. We will be back in 30 minutes. Well, it's been 30 minutes, and I knocked this off one time, so if it wasn't in the exact same position for the coming back, I apologize. But anyway, as you can see, man, there's been quite a bit of a reaction here. There are some areas it looks like bubbling, where the paint has sort of bubbled up. There are some other areas where maybe it was a little thinner that didn't have as much action. Let's give it a little bit of a scrape, just to kind of see how much has really been removed. Use my handy dandy Mac scraper and just see how, oh golly, look at that. Not pushing too hard or anything. Wow. Wow. So, well, I will say though, if I'm looking here at the side, I'm sure thinking that that is melting the plastic on the side of this machine. So maybe this isn't so hot. Maybe maybe this old plastic is just not up to the task. All right, so we do have some gouging and stuff over here. I was even able, again, to do that with my fingernail, where we've got it kind of acting all melty and weird. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and let's take a look here at the back, where I went ahead and I put some stuff on the sticker. And let's see. Looky there. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty darn amazing that it was able to clear that up that nicely. I'm pretty impressed by that. So I am sure that there is a sort of a magic number for kind of how to do this. But if nothing else, I was able to kind of recover that sticker here on the back of the machine. That's kind of cool. Oh look, here's another little sticker down here. It's got information about the power and all that good stuff. Here's my serial number. That does appear to have smeared quite a bit. The serial tag there, just because that is printed differently on the plastic. So there you kind of have it. It does sort of work, but it may be just too harsh. Let's see, can I dig in back here? Nah, I sure don't seem to be able to dig in back there. So I wonder what happens if I hit this with a little bit of simple green. Try to clear up some of the residual goop off of here. I do like that I'm able to see this sticker again. That's kind of cool. But yeah, I don't think that I would really trust this method to the front of the case or anything like that. I think that you would just basically end up wiping away parts of your machine. So anyway, there you have it. Yeah, the back does have kind of a weird little texture now too, since having done that. So, alright, well, if nothing else, this was an interesting experiment, and I want to thank everybody for kind of coming along here. A big thanks to Geek with Social Skills for helping promote the channel, and also Steve from Mac84. Thanks for sending some traffic my way. Hopefully new viewers and things like that won't be too put off by this failed experiment. But I just thought it would be kind of fun to try and just to see. So anyway, maybe I'll post a follow-up video. Maybe I'll try it a little bit different, or try and just see exactly what the limits are of this. So, I mean, there's a lot of nooks and crannies for this to kind of, get caught in and all that, and probably need to take this somewhere and really like hose it off just to see exactly kind of what's what. So anyway, thanks everybody for kind of joining me tonight, and like I always say, Apple II forever.